But actually,
And it's like,
hear me
okay,
out. What if Poe turning against a superior officer and actively getting people killed was the right thing for him to do? If you tell me the Nintendo Switch was released in 2017, that feels wrong.
that does blow my mind. I was thinking like if we get all of us involved, we each do like 5 items
That's
per
exactly
list.
what I was saying. Just keep
Okay,
adding to like a
cool.
growing list. No, I'm back.
Hey, welcome back, Dan. I'm very happy to have you
I
here on
feel
the
like
show.
it's been like
been-
700 years. I think it's been 2 weeks, but it feels like 700
We're
years.
at a point where you borderline count as a guest by now. I mean,
That's
like,
true.
it's me and Jackson. It was me and Jeff. I think you were literally on
I was on the Jeff
the
episode.
week
Sure.
before. You were on 3 weeks ago, so it wasn't like that long back.
It feels a
but
long time ago.
It really does.
For being what's supposed to be a core member, it feels like forever ago.
Actually,
I blame.
Oh, never mind. It's been. Oh, never mind. Yeah, it has only been 3 weeks. Never mind.
Yeah, it's weird. Not bad, just fucking weird.
Definitely interesting.
Yeah,
but you know,
I mean,
sometimes you come back, and that's pretty great.
I blame.
And then other times you're like, I'm so busy with my personal life and all the excessive things contained within.
I blame society as an idea.
You know, I feel like you're gonna say that this is me like kind of being mean to you. I think that you're just kind of trying to make an excuse.
Yeah, you know what? No. I think society is the reason why I can't have nice things, like being on the podcast. I there's nobody else who could be at fault. And frankly, the fact that you even would consider otherwise is hurtful.
Fuck. You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
I'm blameless. Has nothing to do with anything else. Nothing going on in my life at all. Not a wedding that's a month and a week away. Not nothing. That's what's been, dude. I gotta tell you, that's been throwing me in a big way.
Oh
like,
yeah,
we're a month and 2 weeks out.
Believe it. Mm-hmm.
And I just like I know everything's set up, like we're good, but also, oh no,
dude, right?
But it's fun. It's exciting.
I gotta get what I'm saying together.
I gotta get what I say.
Which
do you know? Ooh. On one hand, this wasn't what we were going to talk about, but I'm super down to talk about it for just a second. On one hand, I thought that writing vows would end up being a lot more difficult than it actually was. Like I
wouldn't know. I opted out immediately.
That's valid and probably for the best. Michelle and I decided we're gonna do like some of the default ones, like the death do us part, and then also write our own, right? And like on one hand, some of that was really like it was really difficult to get started, but like I don't know, dude. Just turns out just say the nice things that you would have said anyway. Like it's I don't know. I found it once I got rolling, it was surprisingly easy.
Yeah, it's funny how like what do you call it? It's funny how like words can just pour out at just the right moments. You just have to
open yourself up to God.
You have to hit the moment. Yeah, sure. But you know,
that's the second time tonight, both pre-recording and now live, that I've made a joke to that effect, and I don't know why that's the energy I'm bringing forward tonight. You don't deserve
distinctly a choice. You're just like, yeah, the podcast. God gave us this podcast, and I'm like, yeah, sure, it's his fault if there's any problems with it, not me. And you're like, aha, finally. And then I'm minding my business today, and you're like,
you God.
You God.
Yeah, no, that one. It feels dangerous. It feels like I'm playing a very dangerous game right now. It feels like I'm on the edge of doing something bad.
A month and 2 weeks out from your wedding, and then you're found struck dead by this random bolt of lightning inside the building. Not an electrical surge.
No,
lightning.
Legally, they have to qualify it as lightning. There's no electrical surge that it could have been. It was lightning. But yeah, things are going well. Things are just very, very, very busy. It's been like 3 weeks since, or it feels like it has been 3 weeks since I've had a regular stream schedule. It's been, speaking of streaming and the things I do besides streaming, like playing D&D, did you see that Spelljammer is coming out for 5e?
No.
So Spelljammer, let me pitch you on Spelljammer, because my stance on if you're gonna play D&D, play D&D, and if you're trying to shoehorn something else into D&D, don't do it. Just go play a game that's built around that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spelljammer is a weird one. Spelljammer is D&D in space. That's just what it is. Um, it is full on. It's a campaign setting, which is just it's outer space. It's outer spaceships. Here's the thing. It's low key kind of just Treasure Planet, like as a D&D setting.
Yeah.
And I am so excited for it to like appear. Yeah. So Spelljammer, blah blah blah. Celestial spheres, yada yada. Okay. Navigatable via ships equipped with spelljamming helms. Ships powered by spelljamming are capable of flying not only in the sky but into space with their own fields of gravity and atmosphere. The ships have open decks and tend not to resemble spaceships of sci-fi that instead look more like galleons, animals, birds, fish, or even more wildly fantastic shapes. And
that sounds fun.
it's so fun. It's such a specific thing, but it's also something that like I've long since loved the idea. I think there was a podcast that did it many years ago, and I'm trying to remember which one it was, but it doesn't matter. Where players players essentially find ancient spaceship that still works and have to like deal with and ta-da, now it's fantasy in space and nobody's prepared for that. Like I really like that as a campaign like premise essentially.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's Spelljammer really lends itself to that. I'm very excited. It's originally from way back in the AD&D days, and they're coming out with a new one for 5e, and I'm wildly excited. There's another one too. Shit, I don't remember what, but it doesn't matter. There's one more setting that's coming out that was also an old school D&D game alongside. Where is the stupid thing? Yeah, I don't see it. It doesn't matter. But it's getting like a whole new. It has it's the Anatomy box set, Wizards of the Coast did. It has a new DMG, a new bestiary, a new adventure module. It's very fun. It's super exciting. It's one of those
It's very exciting.
like I just want to play Treasure Planet. Like I just want to go play. Like it's fine. I will play Treasure Planet. Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to talk about D&D Spelljammer real quick because it's very exciting and it's very cool seeing. It's always nice seeing an older setting that I feel like hasn't like we haven't gotten a full setting for it since second edition D&D. Like it wasn't there's been little ideas for it and like little references to it here and there. Waterdeep, for example, has a spell jamming ship like in the dungeon.
Yeah.
But we haven't had like an actual anything else.
A full-blown thing in a
full-blown thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's just it's fun. Bringing space into your fantasy is fun. I'm here for it.
Oh, I strongly agree. It's just like there's cool stuff that you can explore with it. Well, and the nice thing about it is like, I don't know, especially like Treasure Planet is just fun.
No, well, and it's one of those things where D&D full on just says, I don't like don't worry about like science fiction stuff. Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter if it's an open like galleon ship in space. Who fucking cares? Why are you being a fucking
just
narc?
have some fun. Yeah, exactly. It's like you're here to have a good time, and if a wooden boat in space is how you want to have a good time, hey, more power to you.
Exactly. It's a fun trope that I feel like it's a setting type and idea that I don't think you see very often. I think you saw it a lot more in like speculative fiction in like the 60s and 70s. I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Spelljammer coming later this year. I think Q4 might be early next year, but I'm gonna end up picking it up. I know what I'm about, whether legally or otherwise. I mean, no, I will buy it. I'm going to give Wizards of the Coast my money because they are a good company who can do no wrong.
Even sarcastically, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, I didn't feel good about it. I'm gonna be honest with you. maybe don't say that. But yeah, Noah.
Nice. Yes.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I see. I was ready to roll with the punches and then like transition to something new, but then you bring us to a full stop, and you're like, Noah.
I didn't listen. I didn't have a clean transition. Here, go ahead and cut it. Listen, you won't. But
did you
go
not
ahead and cut it.
Oh,
you fix this.
Hey, so Dan.
What's up, Noah?
Man, I haven't done a beep edit in a long time. Every now and then I'll do like. I think I did one during like the Nitro Pepsi because it was a perfect comedic moment to cut Jackson off mid scream with a little beep.
Yeah.
But also like who wants to listen to me and Jackson yell about Nitro Pepsi for like an extra 5 minutes. I don't think
Literally
anybody.
everybody. Literally every single
Well,
person in our audience wants that. I can say with 100% confidence, this episode will come out and somebody will say in the Discord, actually, I would like the rest of those 5 minutes, please.
well, you can't have it because I made an executive decision and it's too late for me to give back.
It's too
But
late. It's gone now.
yeah, no more beep edits. I think that was the first one I'd done in almost a year.
It's been a hot, spicy minute.
But they are perfect. They're the best things.
I think they are
just a little way to spice things up.
They're so difficult to do.
But only when used delicately.
Exactly. You've got to be so gentle with them. You gotta give them a little, just a little something, something. You don't want to go too hard with them.
Let them breathe.
Mm-hmm.
But this is back-end podcast shit. No one cares about why I edit the way I edit.
You're right. Nobody cares about that.
The least important. Nobody cares. Side eyes our guests who were supposed to be here today and asked me to teach him how to edit a podcast.
Call out post on your twitter.com.
Hey, we have a massive crossover episode happening soon with some friends.
I'm excited.
Friends of the podcast, friends of me at least. I don't know.
You know what?
We'll get it all worked out. I'm not going to name drop until we get our shit together, though.
You can cut this if you want. I spent like 4 hours today going and like listening to like their first episode, their finale for season 1.
Oh, fuck, dude.
The first episode of season 2, the final episode of season 2. Like, I was like, I'm going to make sure that if I'm talking to this person, I at least know who they are.
I respect the hell out of the fact that you did that. I do need you to know that the one host has told me, yeah, basically no one should listen to any of the shit that was recorded before the other guys showed up.
You know, I was kind of getting that vibe just from episode 1. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah. He said he sat down, he recorded for what, like an hour and a half, and that was the first episode, and then his time dropped by like an hour after that.
Mm-hmm.
Because, go figure, as we both know, it is hard to talk with no external stimuli for an hour.
I have all kinds of external stimuli. Wink.
Well, yeah, but for the love of God. Anyway, yeah, a crossover episode coming up in the hopefully near future. We'll get something going. It's a good time. Did you listen to the Smash or Pass episode? Because that was
no. I intentionally actually didn't listen to that because I was
unreal.
like, oh no, I wonder if this is going to be a thing that Noah wants to do because I think Smash or Pass. I love Smash or Pass.
Okay, so I guess. Here's how it is though. Like when they did it on their podcast, and so people, now that we're talking about it out loud, you can vote on it because I'm not cutting out this at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked too long. The way they did it was they each made a list for each other. Now,
that's so funny.
The one host made a list for the other guy, and then he had his friend make one for him because he sprung the idea on the other guy, no warning.
That's really funny.
However, if you and me and Jackson, or if it's just going to be like a you and me episode thing, we would each make a list for each other and, do something with that.
If I may, I have what may be, because we are a 3-person, not a 2-person, if I may throw this out there.
We are. I was thinking like if we get all of us involved, we each do like 5 items per list.
Exactly what I was saying. Just keep adding to like a growing list and then just randomize it and let us fight over it. Because some will be easy choices, I'm sure.
Your idea is
my idea is
collectively vote on a master list. Oh, hey, all right. So get the votes in, everyone. You want competitive Smash or Pass from the podcast.
I need you to know how much I love the term competitive Smash or Pass.
I can feel Jackson rolling over in his grave right now.
He's going to hate this.
While also being like, yeah, I would have suggested this like 4 years ago. Where have you guys been?
Yeah, he's gonna hate this. He's gonna hate this so much.
But you know what? We'll burn that bridge when we get to it.
True.
So move away from our mystery guests, who I'm trying not to spoil because it's not really a mystery, but it's enough of a mystery. I'm going to try not to wreck it.
Nice. Smooth.
Dan, I saw on Twitter today that we are
living in a
just
society.
about, what is it, 20... It's like 20 or 22 years out from the opening of the Nickelodeon time capsule. It's 20 years. We are 20 years out of the 40-year time capsule from Nickelodeon.
I remember that, actually.
You probably remember the 10 or 15-year anniversary because it got put in the ground before I was born.
Maybe they added to it then? Because I remember something about that on Nickelodeon.
I think they probably just talked about it.
Maybe.
Because it definitely wasn't anything that like, because I also remember like some stuff about it, but I couldn't tell you what it was.
Exactly,
You
same.
know,
I it's gonna bother me because I
it's
do.
just kind of the concept of it existing is like, oh yeah, I knew about that.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
but that's getting cracked open in 20 more years. So, but
So
that
we're
got me
talking about it
thinking.
now.
Well, no, that's the thing. Like that's 90s, but it got me thinking about the 2000s, you
Yeah, yeah,
know?
yeah. Our
And
favorite time
you
time
know,
of
there's a lot of
society.
things that like people probably associate with the 2000s, right? Like, frosted tips, the Canadian tuxedo, just denim in general, probably, like way too much denim
Mhm.
and then some more denim.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's all
An offensive
stonewashed.
amount of
It's like
denim.
all stonewashed and or blue, like light blue, and it's just there's so fucking much denim. Holy shit, so much denim. But like we all know. That's the 90s, baby. 90s, early 2000s parachute pants, Jinko jeans,
I feel like
Limp
some of these are
Biscuit.
definitely 90s, I feel like, in less 2000s, I will say.
Yes, this is true. Not Jinko jeans though. That's very squarely late 90s, 2000s.
Yikes.
Parachute
What?
pants are definitely like early 90s.
Yeah. Parachute pants are definitely a little older.
But
iPods,
oh man,
like, as an
iPods.
idea.
Yeah. MP3 players in general.
Yeah.
Remember how we used to have like a variety of MP3 players and then it was iPods and Zunes, then it
I
was
don't even
just
remember Zooms, to be
iPods
honest.
and it was the Microsoft answer.
Gross.
They were able to do more than the average iPod was at the time and then they got blown away by touchscreen technology on the iPod Touch.
Mm.
Yep.
I'm scrolling through a random website that's telling me the biggest trends of the early 2000s. Some of these I'm like, damn, really? And some of these I'm like, oh yeah, that was the early 2000s, wasn't it?
So I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, the biggest staple of the 2000s for me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You ready? Um, Sobe energy drinks.
Like, uh, what?
Do you know about Sobe energy?
I do not.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so Sobe was like they were they got like this little lizard and that was like their energy drinks. It was just a bunch of different like flavors and this goofy little lizard was on the label and that was the whole thing. That I don't remember a lot about it. Um I don't even remember if they were like energy drinks, but they definitely were like a thing. Here, let me see. Let me see. Nutrition info. That has to have caffeine content, I would assume. Contains milk. Okay, that's cool.
Deeply concerning.
No caffeine. Okay, so this one at least doesn't have caffeine. But it was like they were like a tea, but they had some other stuff going on. They were usually fruit based, but then they were other flavors like Mr. Green, like this
I
stuff,
have
you know?
literally no clue what you're talking about, my friend.
Yeah, it's the same. Well, it's not the same as purple ketchup. That was a totally different thing. But it's a very like early 2000s food memory. Do you remember purple and green ketchup?
I do, actually. I do remember that. Heinz did it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like the crazy logo. It was like Heinz color squirts or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so that was actually because the ketchup fandom was dying and they had to make ketchup look cool for the kids, which is wild to me because I was always a
Huh.
ketchup guy for stuff, like
Huh.
I'm not like a big ketchup head, but I also am a big fan of ketchup on like I love ketchup on fries, I like ketchup on hot dogs, ketchup on burgers is fine. So in my mind it's like, well, who didn't like ketchup? Why did it die for a minute, Cuz it's such a staple at this point. But yeah, purple ketchup was for that. Uh but in my mind Sobe, purple ketchup and like other weird food things like that live in the same era and Sobe was fun because the only thing I know about it is my mom was allergic to a bunch of the flavors. Because she liked them, and every now and then she'd have one and then be like, "Oh, I'm not feeling too hot. I have a rash." And she had to stop drinking it. So yeah.
I'm scrolling through the Wikipedia entry for the 2000s now. And some of these things I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that was actually this time.
Oh shit. Here, send it my way. Let's see it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Some of this I think you're gonna be like, oh shit, what? And others I'm like, wait, that's when that happened? Highlight for me includes I did genuinely forget that the I forgot that the PlayStation came out in 2000 and the Xbox came out in 2000.
Oh shit.
Their PlayStation 2 and Xbox
One, yeah.
360. Um, which
No,
is
it's the PlayStation 2 and the
original Xbox.
Xbox plane. Yeah.
Ah, yeah, because the 3 was the 360, right? You're right.
Hot damn.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Okay.
Like, and things like
Oh, Blackberries. That was a big. Yeah, I
RuneScape,
forgot about Blackberries.
things like RuneScape
Man,
and World of Warcraft. Things like Halo.
Gladiator.
Fucking
Oh, I forgot. This was like this is when the Lord of the Rings came out, 2001, 2, and 3.
yeah, yeah. No, this is like the early 2000s are very interesting. Doctor Who came back in 2005 from its 90-year hiatus or whatever. Like the new Who, whatever,
Yeah.
started in 2005. Fucking emo haircuts.
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
Obviously,
We
like
had
the big,
Eminem back then.
the big plays of Wikipedia, Reddit, Twitter, Napster.
Man, just a throwback to Napster.
I'm just reading. iTunes came out in 2001. I don't know. The early 2000s are weird because I feel like some of the stuff I'm very much like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But also, I have to also remember that like not to age you, my good friend. I was
hmm
5 in 2001.
Yeah, I know. I was 8.
Yeah. So like 2000,
So
the early 2000s, I don't think had as much of an impact. What I think really had an
see, no,
impact
but
was
here's
like
the
the
thing.
late
I
2000s.
was very sheltered. So
True.
it do
So
be the way it is.
it do be.
But yeah, I don't know. We were racking our brains before the episode to just think of something to talk about. And I happened to see the Nickelodeon time capsule. I'm like, "Oh, the early 2000s. We could talk about that." And
Right?
because it just literally just made me think of Sobe. And that's
It's
it.
Sobe. No, I just want to talk about his old, very niche drink.
It's not that niche. It was sold in like every store.
I've never
I'm
heard of it. I
honestly
gotta be honest with
amazed.
you.
Honestly, I am amazed you never heard of it.
Yeah, I've never seen
Like
this before.
actually shocked.
I've quite literally never seen this before in my life. I wonder if there's like a hold on. Does this have also? It does have early 2010s. See, I feel like the early 2010s are a lot more interesting, or at least more relevant to me as a person.
I feel
Just
that.
because that's when I feel like I really started having opinions.
You really came into your own.
Because I was 14, so that's when I really would have started like having ideas and thoughts of my own. Whether or not they were good thoughts is a whole nother ballgame. But like,
Yeah, that's not important. Oh, cool. You click on the 2010s and it's just like, here's all the wars.
I know, and wars and terrorist attacks, my favorite.
Oh, nice. Oh, this is great. Ongoing. All of these are, for the most part, marked as ongoing.
We live in a
Oh, I
society.
love that. And I want to move to nicer
Pop
things.
culture. Let's go.
There it is.
Some of these things okay, I don't know about you. Is there a weird gap
They're
in your
leaning a
brain?
little late.
Is there a weird gap in your
How do you
brain
mean?
from like if you tell me the Nintendo Switch was released in 2017, that feels wrong.
That does blow my mind. That
That
does feel
feels
very wrong.
incorrect. And yet,
Yeah.
like Minecraft was a thing in early. I think Minecraft is actually pre 2010 or just after
Yeah,
2010.
I believe so.
Like I don't know. It's really interesting. Like the 2010s feel very squished together. I feel like.
I feel like we had a giant tech boom, you know, like
I mean, with smartphones, really, yeah, because
yeah,
smartphones.
smartphones were introduced in the 10s and then literally from being introduced in the 2010s, smartphones. I don't know the exact date because I can't
I'm looking
remember.
for the iPhone because that'll be like the first one that'll like kind of take it off. I think
We also have the introduction of 3D printers,
iPhone was released
being
in the
like
late
a
2000s.
regular thing. Like people within, like before COVID, could buy home 3D printers,
Yeah,
you know? And then we have jewels in here, jewel
those are thank God
pods.
those are gone. I feel like jewels are
Honestly,
not
they're
specific. Like
mostly gone.
there are other forms of e-cig, but those are jewels specifically are mostly gone. iPhone released in 2007. Yeah, weird, so weird. But I feel like no, everyone really only got their phones like in the 2010s. At least I did because I was
And then we have like dumb little things, like hoverboards, which I
Oh,
like here. It's a self-balancing scooter, also named hoverboards at the time. It's like, shut up. I've never heard it called anything but a hoverboard in my life.
I love those things. I wish they didn't light on fire.
Yeah, it's a cool idea.
Yeah, they're fun. I mean, I feel like the hoverboards walked so that like one wheels could run.
Which is funny because one wheels were 100% around before hoverboards.
100%, but I feel like nobody used them or heard of them. At least I didn't. But then again,
Also, insane to me to see LMFAO put here right next to like the Nintendo Switch and
right?
AirPods.
Right? It feels wrong.
It's like because it's not like this list is not in order of like release or anything like that. But you know, we have like Nintendo Switch, AirPods, Minecon, LMFAO, and like Apple Watch and 3D printers.
You know what's interesting? I almost wonder if it would have made more sense for them to split this in half from like because the early 2010s and the late 2010s I feel like are very different.
Honestly, I feel like the aughts were pretty consistent. You know, like it was a consistent growth, but then like it feels like around and maybe yes, I'm quite aware that one of the reasons I feel like this is because I started paying attention more
Exactly. We hit an
in the
age where it actually
2010s.
mattered. Yeah. I
But
wanted
I
we
really feel like it really kicked off in like 2015, 2014, you know?
yeah. I mean, and I'm looking at like things that I would have interacted with, right? Like God, I hate seeing GTA 5 being released in 2013. I would like to commit a
I hate
crime.
that.
I would like to commit a
I am
crime.
begging them to release a new game
I am begging them.
or single player DLC for Red Dead.
I would accept even multiplayer actual DLC that actually adds
Yeah, that's true.
content.
Yeah,
I'd accept
because the
anything,
content that
please.
it has right now is absolutely nothing. It actually isn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It just feels so weird because it does feel like these are like Toy Story 3 was 2010, and that feels like my like firmly in the camp of I was a child when that came out. And then you have
Yeah.
Avengers, or then you have even things like Star Wars: The Force Awakens in 2015. I would have guessed anything that was more recent than that. I don't know. It's weird. Time is fucking weird. It also does help that like we've only been on this planet for 2 decades, so our sense of time and as far as these go is very skewed.
I
But
gotta
it's
be
weird.
honest, Force Awakens 2015 makes sense because I have very specific people in my life attached to that movie
Oh yeah, I
that I
bet you
know
do.
I have not talked to in a long
I
time.
bet you do.
Um, yeah, you know who I'm talking
Oh
about,
yeah, I do.
I believe.
Yeah, no, I 100% do.
But yeah, it's like
It's just interesting.
it
It's just so interesting that like
because it's like because I'll it's a lot easier for me like even movie
yeah,
wise I can lump things together because like the early 2000s for like horror movies specifically it was a huge era because that was in the dawn of digital cameras,
yep,
you know, like they were accessible,
mm-hmm,
so people who couldn't afford film, oh boy howdy Dan, they can afford digital camera.
sure
So we
can.
got this wild influx of digital horror movies. And they're all because now you don't need to know about like lighting. They were all lit weird because you didn't have to compensate for you know, film like being lit enough to make things happen
Yep, yep.
and all kinds of stuff like that. And it's just like, you know, we get a lot of fun stuff and I can always pick those out of the lineup as like, oh yeah, there they are.
Those sure are there.
And it's very easy to tell like when the decade flipped, like around like 2008 on, things got better because people started to know like what to do with digital cameras so they didn't look like that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But damn.
Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely very weird, and it's so interesting. It's also really interesting because I feel like I you know been on the internet a long time, but like even things that I'm thinking about like early internet culture was firmly in swing at this point.
Mhm.
But
It blows my mind how many memes came from the 90s,
yeah,
like
dude.
terms and stuff that I've never questioned. It's just like, oh yeah, that probably came from like the realization that like Reddit did not come up with most of the things Reddit uses as its in jokes and references, and that's
Mm-hmm.
actually from like
4chan
ancient
mostly.
forums.
It's from 4chan
Not just
mostly.
for no, it was also from something awful.
Ah, true. Something
A
awful
lot of
was
stuff
the
came from
clean
something
version of
awful.
4chan.
Um,
Comparatively speaking, I mean we're talking 4chan here.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's true. Fucking
Tomsk
hell.
Tomska did a video about this like super recently actually about like early internet history. Things like
Ooh.
trolling, things like where that term comes from, things like where bugs come from, like all these like computer terms that we just kind of accept. Where pog and poggers comes from. Like it was a really interesting video. I actually highly recommend going to watch it because it's fun, but it is very weird how much there's like this the early 2000s, mid 2000s, late 90s, how much internet culture was set there. And like how much weird like Rick rolling, right? He mentioned in the video, but Rick rolling came about because of something called duck rolling, which was a 4chan thing where they just replaced the word egg with duck. Like one of the moderators just
Yeah.
decided that would be funny. I'm going to do that to every post ever now.
Mhm.
And like and somehow it's like a maintained its usage to the present day. It's just interesting. It's just interesting and weird. And like the fact that these are things that they are like they just didn't change really, and yet they I don't know. It's really weird. It's just really interesting to
Right?
me. I'm kind of rambling now,
There's just
but
a bunch of weird little things that it just also Tomska, just as a concept,
yeah,
Tomska.
yeah,
Like, I remember Tomska being a big ol' thing,
yeah.
and then kind of vanishing,
Probably for the best, to be honest.
and, nah, here's why Tomska vanished, 'cause there's a few reasons, and I actually did, like, stay reasonably aware.
Hmm.
Um, he gained weight, and a lot of people wouldn't stop talking about
Yep,
that.
I remember that.
And he's like, "Hey, this is kinda, like, terrible for my mental health, so please don't."
Yep,
And
yep,
they
yep.
wouldn't, so he had to take a big break. And, also, that was around the era that, like, the BritTuber scene exploded in a bad way, because I don't
Yep.
know if this was a section of the internet for you, but for a while, the top
Alex.
YouTubers were
Yeah,
all from England.
yeah. And then half of them turned out to be
And
pedophiles or associated with pedophiles and
yeah!
protected them. Alex, what was his
Yeah!
name? Alex.
Crabsticks? Was that him?
No, 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 no. I
Or
don't
was
think
he
so.
one of the okay ones? Because I can't remember. There were a lot of people though who, like, one or two of the guys I had followed, and then there's a few people, and people are like, "Oh, ooh, woo, Dan and Phil, they were fine." And it's like, yeah, but you also like made it so that they could not come out because you had fetishized them both being gay so much.
Yeah,
So that sucked for them. But yeah, like all kinds of stuff like that. Like, and then there were a bunch of a bunch of pedophiles in the Brit tubing scene. And after that, I stopped hearing about most of them at that point, and I actually had Tomska come across my, like, TikTok out of nowhere recently, and that was nice because he's just vibing, he's doing his
yeah.
thing.
Alex Day. That's what I'm thinking of.
That was him, Alex oh, man, fuck
That was
him,
yeah.
Alex
Well, and
Day.
then there were and that he was like close. He was in close with like 3 or 4 other major YouTubers at the time that just all dipped off the face of the planet because it turns out that he was the worst.
Mhm.
Tobuscus, if you remember I
I
want to say
do
Toby
remember
Turner. I don't remember if that's
Tobuscus.
actually his name or if
Yep,
I'm just
Toby
associating.
Turner, that was his
I was
name.
gonna say I'm not sure if I'm associating him with
Timmy
fucking
Turner?
Timmy Turner. Yeah,
From yeah, no, that was his name, Tobuscus. What a dude.
yeah.
Real piece of shit.
Got
I
worse.
remember when
Yeah,
all the allegations against him came out, and then it looked like he beat the charges, and it's like, okay, so he's not that terrible. And then other allegations came up, and he didn't beat those, and it did make you wonder, okay, so legally he beat the charges on the first one,
exactly.
but
Yeah, yeah. And I mean,
and then
dropped off the face of the planet.
mhm. He still does stuff. He's hyper right wing now, which I
Oh
guess you're probably not
no.
surprised to hear. Or maybe you are surprised
That's
to hear.
icky. It makes me sad, to
Yeah,
be honest. Not
no, he's a
surprising, just
big
very sad.
if memory serves, he's the flavor of right winger who's not for a while he's like, I'm not a Republican. They mess up just as much. But this Trump guy has some good points.
Oh no.
Yeah. No, he was a mess. He was a mess, dude. He also like, and this isn't to shame people with drug problems, but he had
Oh,
a
he had a
really
massive.
serious drug issue
Well, and
that
that's what
like
I associate him
everyone
with.
who worked with him was like, "Hey, man,
This is bad.
this is a problem."
Yeah, yeah. That came out. I remember during the allegations. Can we like? I think it's interesting. Maybe not interesting. That's not the right word. I think sad, deeply, deeply sorrowing that like
Hmm.
so many of these YouTubers kind of just fell off the fuck apart because it turns out they've been being shitty and like how hard is it we've had this conversation I think before a couple of times, but like how hard is it to just not be shitty, really truly,
Honestly,
like
because
just
like you look at
don't.
some of the guys who like are still somehow creating content, like the
Ugh.
Smosh crew.
Yeah.
you know? And
And
like,
while they're weird, I don't think they've ever been accused of anything.
no, the only bad thing that happened with them was when Anthony Padilla ended up exiting, and it turns out that they had like done some really shitty contract deals that they were stuck in. So he left with zero like um intellectual property or
Oh yeah, I
anything,
remember that.
and because they had signed away everything to the company,
Oh
so the
yeah, that was
company
a thing in the
owned
early.
everything.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that was
oh,
a thing.
super, yeah, early YouTube throwback, super
MCMs, yeah,
predatory.
not MCM, MCN, multi-channel networks. That was a huge thing.
Yeah.
Machinima.
Yeah, Machinima. Remember when Machinima shut down and then deleted their whole channel and backlog, even though they could have just kept it up for free?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they deleted like hundreds of thousands of hours of video.
Yeah, which most of the original creators no longer had anymore. Like no longer had the original because why would they need it? Because it's on a platform where it'll stay forever.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Uh uh, yeah.
yeah. Man, channel managers in general, like the big networks, because they what was it? YouTube was so hard to talk to that they needed the muscle of a network to actually get anything done. And then the
Mm-hmm.
networks were like, okay, cool. Um, so we get 50% off the top of everything you make. And that was
Ray
a
William
generous deal.
Johnson.
Yeah, uh, firstly, not a great dude, but
I
definitely not as bad as I think. Because I think there was a lot of press around him when he left Equals 3,
which but
that kind of like painted him in a worse light.
yeah, yeah, no, I agree. And I think that well, and also like as somebody who was interested in him for a time, like he
Mhm.
got so like there's people who got screwed by their networks and he's one of the people that just
He
lost
got
everything.
so
He
dude,
lost
his whole
everything.
show was given to a like a 13-year-old when they dumped
Yep.
him.
Yep.
Like, that sucks. And then he turned into like one of those really shitty Facebook video guys.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, he was left with nothing. So like make your money how you can, I guess. But yeah.
I was talking to somebody about this the other day that I think that it's one of those really interesting things that because like you and I kind of grew up as this was all going on and we watched it all happen live, right?
Hmm. Oh yeah.
There are children like younger than me children who have a better business sense and like understanding of the platform than those full grown ass people like full grown ass adults. They understand like kids understand the algorithm in ways that I could never. And I just find that
Hmm.
really fascinating and weird. Not necessarily bad per se, not necessarily good by any means, but not necessarily bad, but fascinating. The idea that like because they grew up in the middle of all these like bits and pieces, all these things going on. And like so of course they know about it. Of course they have like almost in the same way that like I grew up having to learn how to navigate learning how to navigate like my computer extremely well and like learning how to navigate all these bits and pieces extremely well and like learning
Yeah.
how to handle like early internet literacy.
Hmm.
But like some parts of that kids just have because
Yeah.
they have to, and some parts
Because
they
the
don't.
base level has already been established, so people don't have to catch up anymore and they don't have to learn as much. They just like find out.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Like, yeah, a lot of people would still get screwed over if like old school YouTube networks tried to give them a deal because it sounds okay at first, but at least more people now know, hey, if they're taking a bigger percentage than I am, then that's a problem.
Yeah,
Whereas back then it was just like, oh yeah, they get 85%. I
and
know I said
we were all
50%
they
earlier,
were
but
okay
that
with
was
it.
a generous deal. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it just happened.
yeah, a lot of exploitation in that era, and
Mhm.
and it's I don't know, it's interesting to see how that like landscape has changed, right? Like there are like I feel like for a while, and maybe it's again so much of this I'm saying, and it may literally just be my perception of it. Like people may come in here in the in the Discord and be like, "Hey, actually, Dan, you're an idiot," but I feel like so much of the landscape has changed, and so much of it also hasn't, right? Like so many people are so much more aware about like the dangers of like parasocial relationships now than they ever were before. Like that's a thing that we all just understand now that wasn't a thing when we were growing up and made a lot of like really dangerous and made a lot of these people like able to do terrible things.
I wish more people still knew the parasocial relationship thing though, because that is not something that as many people as should know do
Mm,
know.
true.
But
I don't know.
you know,
Yeah. Just interesting. Just very, very interesting. Not good, not bad, not whatever. It's just interesting to me to see the like what is a assumed um what is like an assumed baseline? Like what is the assumed like understanding that people have now?
I'd be very interested. I know Kez, the information that I've learned about just like modern school kids and like their base level of knowledge or
Yeah.
like things about things has made me very happy.
Yeah.
Um,
At the risk of being too excited, the kids are doing all right.
yeah, the kids are generally all right.
Not
Well,
all right, but generally all right.
nah. Yeah, we're definitely doing better than we could have been, and that's neat. Especially looking back at some of this old stuff.
The
Ooh, old trends.
kids are slightly better than bad.
Yup. Remember video rental stores, to bring it back to the fun nostalgia part?
No.
Yeah, me neither. Like, I remember going once, or not going once or twice. I remember like going to a rental place maybe 10 times ever in my life
Yeah.
and them just vanishing and that
Overnight.
being the whole thing. Yeah, quite quickly.
Like once Blockbuster fell
Quite
apart,
quickly.
everything else just was like, oh, fuck it, we're out.
Yeah, I mean Blockbuster was Blockbuster.
Blockbuster.
Fucking hell. Oh my god. I am so fucking tired, Dan.
How you doing, buddy? You want to talk about it?
Crashing so hard. It's just been a very long day and a long day yesterday. It's been a long week. And I
It's
have no real
been-
excuses for it. I've just been kicking up my social life, which has been quite nice. I want to
Yeah, how
thank my
dare you have
social
a
life.
honestly, it's
for
on you for
actually
having a social
happening.
life. That's really your fault.
Honestly. Oh, Dan, I saw a movie this week.
What'd you
And I
see?
think it's a movie that you would love if you haven't seen it yet. It's Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I've heard it's so good.
Dan, you will cry.
I've heard it's so good. I've heard it's I have heard nothing but good things. I stayed away from it for a while because I'm like, this seems like it seemed like it was cashing in on like just time travel as an idea, and I'm like, I don't care about this at all.
Oh, no
but-
time travel. No time
or-
travel at all. Multiverse.
Multiverse. Sorry, whatever. Same fucking thing.
Well, and that's the thing is like to a point you could say that it is, but it's actually really great to see multiverse that isn't connected to like superhero franchise.
Well, that's exactly it. That's part of why I stayed away from it. It felt like it was just catching in on that. But from everything I've heard, it's extremely good. I actually I plan on seeing it as soon as I have time and money, but who knows when that'll be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that it was very fun to catch in theaters. I don't think that, unlike Batman, that where I maintain that I think that it will still be good, but you definitely want the theater experience, at least for that like road chase scene.
Yeah.
You know? I don't think that you're gonna be missing out if you watch Everything Everywhere All at Once at home.
Yeah. I mean, that's
not in the same way.
I'm glad because that's where I'm gonna watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those. It's definitely something that I need to see at some point. Like I said, everyone's been
Oh,
telling me, "Hey, just
no.
go see it."
Actually, that did remind me that because the other movie that I'm looking forward to seeing in theaters right now is The Northmen. It's definitely not another Macbeth movie. I swear it's not Macbeth with Vikings. I swear it's definitely a different movie, you know?
Yeah.
At least that's the vibe I've gotten from the previews so far.
No,
If it's
I
not
can't
that,
disagree
then
with
hey.
you.
But I've been seeing so many stupid takes on that movie, dude. And it like before it was even out, people are just like looking at Robert Eggers and they're looking at a movie about Vikings. They're like, that man is a white supremacist. Based off of nothing at all. You know, no big deal. The man who made the homoerotic movie The Lighthouse, about how toxic masculinity is not that great, actually. You know, the man who made The Witch, about how traditional religion is not that great, actually, and that, you know, women should be like listened to and shit like that. Woman empowerment, you know?
I mean, that's on him for trying to empower women, really.
It is, honestly. But
He
yeah,
should
you
know
know,
better.
the guy who is like, he's just out here making big concept movies and now is like, hey, what if Vikings were Macbeth? That would be cool, huh? It's a revenge movie. That definitely is going to be a movie about how revenge doesn't solve your problems and they might even create more problems than before. I'm going to go out on a limb and take a wild guess.
I don't think that's how movies work. I've seen a movie in my day, and that's not what they're about. So
No, it's not. Oh shoot, my bad.
no,
my
they're
bad, my bad.
actually very supportive of revenge as an idea.
Yeah, up until the last 10 minutes, you see, Dan, and then it flips it on its head like a pancake.
It's like poetry.
It's called
it
a plot
rhymes.
twist. I still can't believe that fucking man was talking about the prequels when he said that. Oh, George Lucas, you sad son of a bitch.
The worst. The
Nina and I were
worst.
talking about him just today. You know what?
Don't.
We're
He
gonna
doesn't
pivot
deserve you
hard.
talking about him.
No, here's the thing. We're gonna pivot really hard to shitting on the Disney movies, the Disney Star Wars, real quick. Specifically, the last one, right?
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with
Because
that.
let's look at Star Wars, right? The original trilogy. They're not bad. They
They're not
exist,
bad.
and
They're
they are
totally
a
fine.
full-fleshed concept.
Yeah, they
The
sure are
prequels,
movies.
yeah, you know what? You can tell George Lucas had his grubby little mitts all over them because they are very goofy. And if
Yeah.
there's one thing George Lucas is, it's a goofy piece of shit.
Yes.
You know, very normal.
Yep.
But then you get the sequels, and obviously they're gonna feel different.
Of course.
I'm not stupid. However, Force Awakens, outside of having that stupid Josh Whedon-esque dialogue of, so who goes first? You go first, I go first. And then Poe interrupting Huck.
I still think
Hux,
that's
I'm
fucking
sorry.
hysterical.
Well, here's the
And
thing, is it's
I'll
like,
die on that hill.
it's not the right flavor, for me, it is not the right flavor of humor in a Star Wars.
I agree with you.
Because a
But
lot of
also-
the humor of Star Wars comes from, like, other things too, you know?
If I may counterpoint.
Please.
The big counterpoint I would make is the famous wondrous line of boring conversation anyway.
Yeah, but he didn't look into the camera and make that line. He just like
That's true.
mumbled it. It was a boring conversation. And look, we're gonna like
Yeah,
like you
it-
could
it-
if you
it's
aren't
definitely- you know what
listening
it
well
is?
enough, it's
It's-
hard to understand.
I don't think the dialogue is maybe the problem. I think the delivery of it is the problem, perhaps.
I think it's definitely it because it was like it's too dramatic, it's too up in his face.
Mhm.
Like if he had said that not on the planet, if he had said that like in the interrogation room, I think that would have been very funny.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
Yeah.
But then you get The Last Jedi, which I still maintain is one of the Star Warsiest movies to ever Star Wars.
Yeah, it's the best Star Wars movie. It's fine.
Which I know is a very controversial opinion, apparently.
Yeah, people have been arguing with me about it forever, and will continue to, and that's fine.
And I want to come back to the Casino Planet scene because I think that like I have some thoughts about that.
Mhm.
But then let's talk The Last Jedi.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh wait, no. What was the last one called? Shit. The Force Awakens, The Last
Rise
Jedi,
of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, Rise of Skywalker. Sucks ass.
It's so bad.
All the character progression they decided to do for different people got sidelined or actually like
Reverted.
regressed.
Yep.
Like Poe could have just been some like hotshot pilot with a temper streak, and that was like a lot of good work they were doing in that movie that they reverted. And it's like actually Poe's always right.
But actually,
And it's like,
hear me
okay.
out. What if Poe turning against a superior officer and actively getting people killed was the right thing for him to do?
Right? And it's like, okay, that's not great, but okay. And then
I
it
at
just
least
continues
understand
on
why
down
that's
that
a
line.
message in a Star Wars.
It's just, but then like, and then we got Finn, where enough people kept complaining about him that he no longer was a Jedi character. He definitely was supposed to,
Oh, 100%.
you know. And then they make Rey into a Palpatine because they're like, okay, so the bloodlines thing is definitely important, but we don't know why, so
Mhm.
we're just gonna shoehorn this in there in a Fortnite message, which fine. We've always had a moment in a Star Wars opening crawl where it's like the entire galaxy was shook by this announcement. It's like,
That they
okay,
made
cool.
in Fortnite.
Yeah, like at least
Canonically,
there was precedent
canonically
for that
in
shit.
Fortnite.
It canonically, it is very frustrating. But you know, I'll give them a slight pass on that because it's not the first time it's happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Shit like that happens all the time. But then, Dan, I mean, you are in pain about this as much as I am. It's just like there's so many things about that movie that's just not good. And they're like, oh, cool. Our one Hispanic character is going to be a criminal.
yep.
That's a weird decision to make, you know? And I don't want to sound too woke right now because I really hate when people over woke things that like people, it's not like an actual, it's not that deep situation, not like when people tend to say it. Like there's a lot of things that it's not, but like that was something that they should have thought through, you know? Like
Well,
there are
it's-
other characters they could have fleshed out with a different background in a fun way.
It's so okay. I've kind of evolved from just being angry at Star Wars for that movie, and kind of where I've kind of landed at this point is I've landed on I think those movies, any single one of those movies, would have been better if we had just had a single Like, I think I've actually would have been more okay as much as Last Jedi is the best Star Wars movie. I'd almost have rather just Last Jedi stay just been J.J. Abrams. It's fine. Like, at least then you would have a cohesive like feel through the whole thing. But I think the final Star Wars movie takes spend so much goddamn time trying to just undo the work that episode.
Well, they were too busy trying to appease fans instead of doing their job.
Yeah,
The fans would have watched it regardless. They didn't need to fix it to make everyone happy, you know? Like they would
yeah.
have watched it. And they might have even been happy with it if it turns out that they made it flow and work. And instead, no one was happy because it was just like there.
Yeah, the thing that makes me the most sad about it is the thought that that is it. That is the Star Wars War. It's not like a TV show where you can like retcon it and things. No, that's it. That's it. It's over. We're done.
Yeah.
Go home. I don't know. It does make me deeply sad. And I agree with you on all accounts. I think it just has a lot of like, I mean, fucking the core idea of hey, you can only be special if your family is special is in and of itself not ideal.
No. And it's also very anti Star Wars.
Here's the thing. It's
Like,
anti
oh,
what
okay,
Star
a
Wars
lot of
is.
Star Wars has
It's
always
anti what
been
Star
around
Wars is
that,
supposed
but
to be about, right? It's
yeah.
anti like Star Wars ideologically, but not anti Star Wars in
In
practice.
practice. Yeah. So like fair on that. Fair on that. But the reason we were one of the other things before I get to the reason we were talking about Star Wars this morning at all,
Yeah,
the casino planet. I'd like to roll
yeah,
back to that.
yeah. Canto
A
Bite.
lot of people have tried to tell me that that whole scene was stupid and didn't need to be there and was a big waste of 10 minutes. And I would like to ask you, Dan, has there ever been a Star Wars movie that didn't have a scene that really didn't need to be there and was just kind of a waste of 10 minutes?
I don't think so. In fact, I think that movie is the only one.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. My bad. My bad. My bad. Yeah, I guess I just had in my mind maybe like most of episode 1 had a lot of little side tangents like that, but people don't like episode 1, so I guess that one doesn't count. That's okay, right? Like
Yeah.
that one's on me. Or I guess maybe in episode 2 the entire scene with like Obi-Wan's like entire side quest of being a sneaky detective that like doesn't really quite go with the movie. There's a few moments where like
Are
you
you
could
trying to tell
bypass,
me
but
that you don't like Drex's Diner? How dare you, sir? You don't
Or
like that they just plopped a 1920 or 1970s diner in the middle of Star Wars and just wanted us all to say that that was okay?
yeah, it just lives on top of a skyscraper as if it just like literally fell out of the sky. Yeah, no. Maybe I'm being too critical. You're right.
I
You're
think you're
right.
being too
The
critical.
Casino
I
Planet
think
was the first time that had ever happened.
you're right. Canto Bite.
Or maybe in episode 3.
Listen, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm not going to sit here and say that just because other Star Wars movies did it, it makes it like okay, right? Like let's be clear. I to a point do agree. Canto Bite, yeah, you probably could cut Canto Bite. That could have been like a deleted scene, whatever. It's fine. But I think that if you were actually going to use Rose as a character, you needed it.
Yeah.
That's the
and
thing.
that's
They
the
decided
problem
not to
is
use
that they
Rose.
gutted her character, and that's why the planet is useless, is because they cut her character from the next movie, so it made her character development area pointless.
Yeah.
And we could have skipped it.
Yeah. Well, that I also will say Canto Bite is not useless if only because you get the very final shot in the movie, which is I think literally the most important shot ever in Star Wars, and that's not a joke. The little kid reaching out and grabbing his little broom with the Force is like literally is everything to me. Like that.
Yeah.
I would burn the rest of that movie to the ground if it meant keeping that scene because that fucking matters. Like it matters so much as a Star Wars baby, as whatever. It's dumb.
It's a big deal. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been
makes you a
nearly as
kid again.
impactful if it had been like the special edition of Return of the Jedi, where suddenly we get a flash through a bunch of different planets celebrating that the Emperor died as if they would have immediately found out.
The Emperor's dead.
His capital planet where they definitely would immediately be toppling statues and not like gunning down civilians in the street because they have to maintain order, normal things. But like we're seeing a bunch of different people celebrate, and George is just like, and now we bring the Gungans back. And everyone's like, why?
We set free!
But Holy shit. But I would like to posit a thing to you, Dan.
Yeah, go
That
for it.
Nina, this is the reason we were talking about Star Wars at all today. Han Solo.
Yes.
What is Han Solo?
A charming rogue.
But what is Han Solo? What is his job?
A smuggler.
But if you were to simplify that into America terms, what does Han Solo do?
A crime.
Would you call him a trucker, perhaps?
Oh no! Oh, he is. No. Oh, is this the Millennium Falcon's a space 18-wheeler? Because it is. It is, and it's my favorite thing. And recontextualizing Star Wars in the context of it is a space trucker and his fucking dog is my favorite thing.
Because Nina's just like, I think it was a TikTok she saw, where this person's like, okay, so Darth Vader, known as one of the best pilots in the galaxy for like a long time before he was Vader, and he's not like dropped his skills, he's still a big deal.
Yeah, he's not less Vadery.
So firstly, he's minding his business, and then this trucker shows up with his estranged son, his robot that he built, his old best friend robot, his old boss, and kind of he wouldn't have known Chewie, but they were war buddies, they fought in the same war together. So tangential awareness. And then they kidnap his daughter and bust out of there in this like truck. Okay, that's funny. It's like, well, that's a little weird. But then later in the same movie, Vader's about to gun Luke down, and he's like, all right, let's close in. And then an 18-wheeler with a Gatling gun strapped to it rolls up behind him and guns down his entire, like, crew and shoots him off into space. And Han Solo's just like, I'm just here for a paycheck. Yeehaw.
Star Wars is so dumb. I love this. I love Star Wars. No, it is exactly what that is. And it's like literally it's a cargo hauler. Like that's literally what the fuck it is. I don't remember. It was retconned into that, but like at one point the reason it was designed that way is because that's like basically it was like the back end, like the rear engine for a space train essentially. Like the cargo would like slit in its little front slot before it was the escape pod. That actually might still be canon. I don't know if it is anymore.
Because I think the escape pod was supposed to be a post edition.
Yeah.
In from Lando.
Yeah.
But regardless, like
so
and I love all of these things and this little bit of like, oh yeah, look at that. And can we just talk about why the Camino people, like why their planet shouldn't have been water, Dan? I'm so pissed it was water. Why would they have poison darts on a water planet? They're going to shoot those underwater? No, they're not. Most of their culture can't be above water. That's miserable up there.
That's a good question.
There has to be underwater culture.
Answers.
Oh, probably. But like Drax, that piece of shit with 4 arms that he can barely use them to hold his own pants up. And he comes in with his big old mustache, kisses Obi-Wan, and he's just like, oh yeah, I know everything in the world. Oh, that? Yeah, that's a Camino saber dart. There's maybe 3 people in the whole universe that use that bad boy. But yeah, the planet, here's the coordinates. Have a good day. Adios. And he leaves.
Yeah, I mean, that is basically how it happens.
And then he goes to the Jedi records, and the librarian's like, my library's perfect, and if it's not there, then it's not there, so shut up. So he needs a 2-year-old to tell him, well, maybe it's still there, and someone just erased it.
Star Wars is dumb, dude. Man. Star Wars is so dumb. I love it. And like, I really do, I truly, genuinely think that is the biggest problem with Star Wars fans, is that they just aren't willing to accept that it's just dumb. And it's okay to be dumb. Yeah. Like
that's the biggest issue with the new ones too, is there's not enough it's dumb because, well, as we all know, the flux capacitor goes into the this, that, the other thing, and then Glupshido was there. Like, there needed to be more of that.
Yeah.
And there wasn't enough.
Yeah. I'm so glad we get to do a little Star Wars chat. We haven't done that in a hot minute.
We haven't. I feel like we do it a lot more often than we think we do, but
no, I don't.
Fair enough.
I think we don't do it enough. So
Star Wars. What is it good for?
Inspiring.
Stick that what? Oh,
aspiring
I thought you
to.
were gonna say, "So stick that Star Wars up your ass."
I wish I'd said that. That's very funny. No, I love Star Wars. And I've mellowed out on for there was a time where I genuinely did think that like if you had a major problem, like if you had issues with Last Jedi, not just if you had issues, but like if you couldn't come up with like clear answers as to why you hated it, it probably was because you were a piece of shit. There are reasons, right? There are reasons, and specifically, there are reasons to hate any Star Wars movie, literally any of them, and some of them are very good, and some of them are very bad. And Last Jedi is no exception. There are plenty of things in Last Jedi that are like, damn, that's fucking stupid and terrible, and why is that here? Why are you making me
Mhm,
watch this? And also, like, I don't know, it's just good. It's just good and wholesome, and it has it has a message of it doesn't matter who you are, you can be important. And that is something that I think is I I think that's an important message for anybody, but like what do I know?
mhm.
Yeah, a good
That's it.
Star Wars war. That's it. That's all I had to talk about Star Wars. I don't even like Star Wars though. Like Star Wars fucking stupid.